Okay, so welcome again, everyone, to the Monday webinar. We have some great stuff to talk about. This is a webinar, remember, where we talk about all the setups and interesting things that I'm going to be watching this week. Of course, those things can change a bit from day to day. Overall, everything that I talk about doesn't change day to day, but some of the entries that we're going to discuss could be adjusted a little bit tomorrow or the day after or the day after. So if you'd like to keep a little better track of our exact entries and where we're getting in, where we're getting out, you can go to Day Traders FX and click on Join, and you can get a free trial to our live trade group. We meet twice a day. So that's a pretty good amount. When you go to the Join, you'll see this top part of the page. This is the membership with the chat room included, $79 a month. And if you go down a little bit further, this is just access to the website, and you can see recordings of what we do in the chat room afterward. So either one of those are pretty good situations. I would say that whoever has $37 a month memberships and whoever has $79 a month memberships have paid for those memberships about 55 times in the last couple of weeks. We have just closed about 800 pips worth of trades on Thursday and Friday of last week, and so we had a really excellent setup on all these trades. So we closed a bunch out, grabbed some nice profit, and we've still got a couple running, and we've got some great re-entries coming up. So let's talk about what those are. Quick little look here as far as news goes. You can see that Monday, later on today, we have the interest rate announcement for Australia, and there is some Aussie stuff we need to be looking at and ready for. So that's coming up, but we've seen a little bit of news today, and we've got a little bit more coming. Retail sales for Australia is coming out in a couple of hours, and then the cash rate and all that interest rate announcement stuff is coming just a few hours after that. So it should be pretty exciting. We've got a little bit of news coming out on Tuesday, nothing too crazy. Construction news for the UK, flash PMI for the euro, and some Aussie GDP numbers. Wednesday, we have the ADP numbers, good old ADP non-farm numbers for the U.S., trade balance for U.S. and Canada, interest rates for Canada, trade balance for Australia. So it's a pretty big day on Wednesday. And then Thursday is like a huge day as well. So Thursday we've got interest rate announcements for the UK, we have interest rate announcements for Europe, and then we have the ECB press conference. And this is a big deal. And I'm always a little bit worried because this is where everybody is completely expecting the ECB and Draghi to announce a whole bunch of easing measures and so on for the euro and for the European Union. And it's probably going to happen, but he is probably going to throw some sort of interesting twist on there that's going to cause the euro to rally. I don't know, but everyone is like 100% expecting this to be bearish for the euro, and it should be, but I'm always a little bit cautious when everybody's expecting something. And so, excuse me, so that'll be a pretty big event on Thursday, and then Friday we have employment numbers for the US and Canada. All right, good grief, that's a lot of news coming up. Okay, so for the meantime, we are currently out of our euro dollar positions. We closed our euro dollar, I don't even remember how many pips. I'm going to look at the notes here. Oh, actually, okay, wait, never mind. There it is. We closed the euro dollar for 170 pips. We had a nice little 170 pip trade on the euro dollar, and we closed it because I was getting a little concerned. We closed nicely down here, just around 136.00, right about back where it is. Going into Friday, it spiked up a little bit, only about 50 pips or so, and then it's come right back down again. Because of how this 4-hour chart is looking, we had this nice little short-term falling wedge right here. We broke out of that. It's pulled back just a little bit. But how the 4-hour chart is looking, I'm getting a little concerned that it's getting a little extended and a little exhausted on the 4-hour chart, and that it's ready for some movement back up. So I'm just hanging on the sidelines with the euro dollar until we get some retracement. I'm still looking for, and I think we're going to have a nice entry opportunity at around 137.50. So just again to qualify this, remember that this is going to cover the whole coming week. We could get entries as low as 137.00. you can see that we're just about 13600, so I'm looking for at least 100 pips of retracement before I start shorting the euro dollar again. And it could be as much as 150 pips of retracement. So that's what we're looking for, but I think we have a decent chance of getting to 137.50. But we're going to watch price action. We'll see how things play out and just kind of go from there. But from 137.50 / even 13700, I think we're going to be able to short the euro dollar down into a minimum 13400, so we'll be able to grab another 300 pips out of this thing at least. But I will personally, depending especially on how the news goes with Draghi on Thursday, I would love to hold on to the euro down into 13100, 131.50, and even below. I think the euro has a potential of breaking 130, but I think that there's still 500 or 600 pips of downside with this euro dollar, but we've got to get it up around 13700 / 137.50 before we start really shorting this thing again. So just keep that in mind, and that's what I'm looking for on euro dollar. But so far it's playing out pretty nicely. If this low from if the low from, what was that low on? Looks like Thursday-ish. If the low from Thursday can hold, then that should be a nice little move. There might be a little short-term activity, nothing that I would be too excited about, but a little bit of short-term activity at the break of 135.85. But like I said, I'd be really careful with something like that. I'd be more inclined to just let this pull back and get short above 13700. But 135.85 might still give us something. So we'll see how that goes, but we really want to wait for that retracement, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity. Okay, so for those that are in the live trade group, everybody should be in this with me, which is the pound dollar short. I'm just flipping over to the notes here. You can see that we're in this from 168.75. So we got a really good entry all the way back here. Rode this thing down to nearly 200 pips in profit, and it's pulled back just a little bit. Still just shy of about 150 pips profit, 125, 130 pips profit, right around there. It's looking great. Everything's looking good. I'm not planning on changing the pound dollar entry too much. We're holding on to this thing. And if I see 168.00, then I will most likely be jumping back into the pound dollar short. Now, the big reason for that is because we have this nice, big, fantastic rising wedge here that the euro dollar is broken out of, and we have a super overextended 200 moving average on the daily chart. And so this is just screaming further movements down. And again, we may not see a huge move down on pound dollar, but I think we're going to get down into the mid to low 160s at least. I think 16500 is an easy target. And that's kind of the initial target for right now. You can see that there's a 23% fib down at 164.80. There's a 200 moving average at 164.80. All that stuff's happening down here. So I think that's a great little target to aim for at the moment. So that's absolutely what I'm aiming for. And again, at the moment, we're going to be looking for entries probably around 16800 to start shorting this thing. Now, we don't want to let it get too much beyond about 168.50 before we start covering our position or, stopping out, hedging, whatever your technique is there. Above 168.50, it could be making a bit of a run into potentially a double top and could be, making one big stab at like 170 area. So let's just keep that in mind. But I think there's a really great opportunity to short euro dollar there. Okay, so remember we have, pound dollar. I just said euro dollar, I meant pound dollar. We have Aussie news coming out, so we have interest rate announcements in about 5 hours or so, it looks like. The Aussie dollar's just been kind of consolidating here. It could very easily continue on up, especially with any kind of fantastic news out of the central bank in Australia. But I'm still looking at this, and this has not changed. If the Aussie dollar breaks 9200, I think there's an easy 100 pips, just an easy 100 pip trade. Nothing too fancy, nothing too special, just an easy 100 pip trade from 9200 to 9100. Just that simple. So with the news coming out tonight, I wouldn't necessarily set a pending order and forget it. kind of a thing, but I would set a pending order to get in on the break of this 9200 in case the news spikes it down there, and be there, be ready. You know, central bank news can always make things go crazy, but be ready to close this thing out if it reverses and starts going crazy and gets back above 9200. So we want to get in literally 5 or 10 pips below 9200 with a 100 pip profit target, and if it hops back up above 9200, we want to jump out of that thing ASAP. So just a quick little thing to look for in that Aussie dollar. Okay, so dollar CAD. Dollar CAD is a nice little trade that we've been talking about. Our levels we've been specifically looking for are 108.15 and 109.15. Kind of an interesting little thing we had happen here. It's really been bouncing around. Nice little double bottom here. I don't typically love trying to trade out of a channel this size. It's not a huge channel, but it's definitely a little bit of a channel. This is a nice, though, a very nice falling wedge on this daily chart. We've hit the 200 moving average. We had nice little kind of almost a double bottom, nice little reversal candles. Everything's looking decently bullish, and I'm bullish dollar CAD above 109.15 still. So you can see that the high of this little candle right here is about 109.11. So still, I think a pending order around 109.20 should be a nice little spot to start trading this thing higher. Ideally, I think it would be tradable potentially to get into this thing down around 108.75 area and a little bit of retracement, but that's just kind of an afterthought. Really, the whole thing that I'm looking for here is just trading the break of the channel, and I'm not going to deviate from that. So 109.15 break, I'm long. 108.15 break, I'm short. And that's what we're looking for on dollar CAD. Okay, Euro Aussie, we're already in short on this one. We've moved our stops to break even, and we're going to let the news come and see what happens. This could move hugely, fantastically for us, or it could stop us out at break even. If it stops us out at break even, that is totally okay, because I'm still pretty bearish. Euro and the Aussie could really get super bullish, and if the news comes out from tonight, and interest rates are looking, you know, anything in the hawkish direction, that's going to drive this Euro Aussie down, down, and down, which is great because I still am looking for that big lower target of about 14200. So I'm still looking for the Euro Aussie to head down about 500 pips further. If this stops us out, if this runs up and hits our stops and we get taken out at break even, I'm going to kind of reassess at that point and find that next entry where I want to be shorting the Euro Aussie, because I will be shorting the Euro Aussie again. But for the moment, let's just kind of hang tight. We've got our positions locked in, and we're going to see where this thing goes after the news tonight. I'm not in pound Aussie at all. We closed our CAD Swiss franc with some crazy fantastic profit, and it wasn't a bad exit either. We got out nicely up here, up in this region, just shy of 8,300. We got out about 82.85, and it dropped down only about 65 pips or so, but it was a great exit. We got out basically at the top of this thing. I'm still a little bit cautious / worried that that the CAD Swiss franc is going to continue to kind of drop lower, and so we're just going to hang on to this one. We're going to see where this goes. Good heavens, it's loud out there. I'd close the window, but it's a warm day, so you guys are going to have to put up with some noise, because I don't know if I might sweat and pass out if I close these windows here. So anyway, we have a nice little rising wedge on this 4-hour chart with the CAD Swiss franc, and it's starting to make some breaks there. So I could really see this thing running down to 81.50 potentially area. I could see it dropping about 100 pips with the break of this guy. So this looks like a nice place. I mean, you could take some shorts and you could trade this down. I'm probably not going to. I'm more interested in letting this retrace and then continuing to trade it back up into 83.50. and so on. So that's why I'm out of all my longs. We took some fantastic profit on this CAD Swiss franc, and now it's just kind of setting up for some decent retracement, which could turn into, you know, a little bit of a reversal. We'll see how it goes, but we're definitely out of our longs. We're not trying to get long right now. It's got to drop at least 100 pips before I get interested in buying CAD Swiss franc again. Ralph, to answer your question real quick, so you can see on this Euro Aussie, we're in between 147.80 and 148.00. So whatever entries between that, as far as stops go, just 1 pip better than whatever entry you got in that 20 pip range there. So at least at worst case scenario, that'd be 147.69 would be a good stop on that one. Okay, so we're just hanging tight on CAD Swiss franc. We're waiting, watching. We're going to see where this thing goes, but that is a nice rising wedge. So just like the euro dollar, the dollar Swiss franc is still not ready for our entry. So I'm just watching this guy, and I think we've got, you know, kind of a similar situation as with that euro dollar. You can kind of see these upper areas just working their way in there, and depending on where you start that lower trend line, we've got a channel or even a small little rising wedge there. Whatever you want to look at it as, we have got a fairly extended 4-hour chart, and we're kind of pulling away from that moving average a good bit. We've got some missed weekly pivots and so on down here. So I'm going to still wait for the dollar Swiss franc to get below 8,900 before I start getting long. Now this one, I don't know exactly where I'm going to be getting in on this below 8,900. 88.50 is an interesting area. You know, anywhere in that general vicinity is looking interesting, but I'm not going to give a super specific, this is exactly where I'm going to get in on this pair just yet, because we haven't been in it for a while, and I'm kind of just stalking the setup, but it's not super clear, super perfect just yet. So we need to watch price action just a little bit before we start shorting, or excuse me, getting long dollar Swiss franc. So we're sitting on the sidelines there. Okay, our CAD Swiss franc, or excuse me, our Euro CAD, there we go. Our Euro CAD turned out to be super nice. We got out of this Euro CAD about 147.50. Did go down another 20 pips, and then it reversed and came up another 100 pips. It bounced up just about 100 pips, so we got a great little exit on that one. Same thing on this Euro CAD. Euro CAD is getting pretty over sold on the 4-hour chart. I still think we have a great play on the daily chart. We had this huge head and shoulders pattern. Everything's looking great there. It's hitting that moving average, and it's just bouncing up a little bit. And that's fine. That's totally great. It's just retracing. It's kind of hanging in there. So I'm going to be looking to get back into the Euro CAD a little bit higher. Up around 149.00 is a really great area to start getting into this. You can see the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart's about 149.75-ish. So it's a good little ways up there, but I like this Euro CAD trade enough that I'm willing to let it go against me a little bit on a re-entry. So 149.75 is a tough area up there, but ultimately 149.00 right around that spot should be a pretty interesting entry for this. Now remember, we have huge Euro news coming Thursday, so that's several days out. But it is the sound working okay for everyone, or is it just on Ralph's end? We still have audio? We still good on audio? Okay, excellent. Alright, good. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm looking for on EuroCAD. It's going to be a great little entry. This could be adjusted, remember, with the coming news. So we got to be a little careful with the coming news, but around that 149.00 is where I will be getting short once again, but I'm definitely not getting in just yet. I think this EuroCAD is going to be able to move a bit higher, and I'm going to let it do that before we jump back in and continue trading it down. Remember, our target and our goal is about 140. I think we can get pretty easily down into 14300. But you know, we're looking for a minimum of 145, but I really think we're going to be able to make it down to 140, 143 and change. No, maybe a little one, Melinda, but we have a huge head and shoulders pattern right here that is still playing out. So any little guys that happen in the process, I'm not paying too much attention to. A little bit, it's worth watching, but this is the big pattern that we're looking to play out. That's that big head and shoulders pattern right there, which gives us some pretty fantastic price projection of down here 145 and change. Okay, so we're not in the pound CAD either, but I am very interested in this pound CAD. I've been watching it and waiting and seeing where this thing's going, and I just don't have a great entry yet. The one thing that I do love about the pound CAD is that there is a huge overextended situation on the daily chart. That's about it. Otherwise, it's not giving me any super fantastic entries. It breaks little trend lines and pulls back a whole bunch, and we just have not gotten into it because I just don't have a great entry. So I still don't have a great entry, but I'm going to keep watching it, and as soon as I get a good entry, I'm going to let everybody know because it's going to be worth talking about, because this is going to move 400 or 500 pips, and we're going to be able to get probably 300 or 400 pips out of it. So I think it's a great setup. Yeah, Adrian, that could be a good one. Definitely. One thing I want to bring up here, the pound Swiss franc. In case this thing decides to take off, which it could very possibly do, here's what I'm watching for on pound Swiss franc. I'm more bullish than bearish on this pair. It's not super overextended on any time frame. The 4-hour chart is a little bit on the overextended side. It's a little over 100 candles from the last 200 moving average touch. The 1-hour chart's not giving us anything crazy. It's just hanging around the 1-hour chart. 15-minute chart's not looking too crazy. What I am liking, as soon as my charts decide to unfreeze, there we go. So 15-minute chart not looking too crazy. Everything's looking good. What I'm really liking on this pound CAD is if we zoom out, you can see that this is a major double top, and this is a yearly, actually this is the high of barely in January. So this is the high of 2014, and we've come up and created a fantastic double top there. So a couple of things are worth noting here, and that double top's up around 151.20, so we're not super far away from that. It's come off that level decently well. If we get some sort of crazy price rejection candle at the next stab at this high, then I will short with tight stops, super tight stops, just barely above this high right here. I'll short it if we get a little run towards that 150 and then we get like a huge shooting star or something, then I'll jump in short. Otherwise, I'm kind of excited about buying the break of 151.20 and trading this thing up into some big higher levels. We have a big 200 moving average on this weekly chart. If you look at the weekly chart, I mean, this thing is just going crazy. Apparently I'm missing some data there, but if you look at the weekly chart, you can see, I'm going to scroll out even one more, you can see that we're definitely at the low of the multi-year range. So the last several years we're at that low, and we're just running to touch that 200 moving average that has not been touched since apparently 2007, on the weekly chart that is. Now, if we break this high here of 151.15, 151.20 area, there's only about 125 pips or so to get to that 200 moving average, and then we could see anything happen there. But that should be a pretty decent 100 to 125 pips, so let's not give that up. Let's be ready for a break on this pound Swiss franc of 151.20, and we'll be jumping into that if it gives us a move there. But I'm going to kind of keep an eye on this. There might be opportunities to buy the dip. I'm just not 100% sure what I want to do with this pair just yet. I kind of like 149.50 as well for buying a dip, and I like 151.20 for breaking, buying the break. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. We're still holding out on New Zealand dollar. I get asked about this one quite a bit, and it's getting pretty overextended. The 1 hour chart is now Now a good little distance. We're about 250 candles since the last touch of the 200 moving average, so I'm definitely waiting to short this one. But I will be shorting the New Zealand dollar at some point in the very near future. But I really don't have anything that I'm super excited about on that pair yet. And then yen pairs are bouncing around. I'm not really doing too much yen trading for the moment. And that's what we've got. So we've got some excellent setups in the works. Hopefully everybody can make some pips with us. I'll try to send out some updates on Twitter, but I will be updating twice a day at least the recordings in the website and the notes in the website for all of our trade entries. So there's going to be some fantastic stuff in the works there. So questions, comments, guys, send over the levels you're looking at, the currency pairs you're looking at, all that stuff. Let me get this recording going, formatting, and then I'll answer your questions and we'll kind of talk about some of the setups you guys are looking for.